They're all dead. Don't have to wait this time. I'm giving up on my sense of humor.
Put down those geisha girls, pick yourself up a pint and settle in for another edition of the Union Smack podcast, your only go-to wrestling podcast for British graps, as well as all that retro goodness. I am of course the maniac Matt Tennant, and I'm on the mend from the flu. The flu that you heard last week just plagued the In Your House episode, and made the last few weeks about as fun as chronic diarrhea with barbed wire, to be honest. But we have a lot to get through this week, and just by my intro alone, you can once again tell that I'm flying solo, having to play with myself once again, story of my fucking life, because Travis is having technical difficulties still. See, can't even speak again. Already fluffed the intro. Jesus Christ. Travis is having technical difficulties still, and is unable to join us, unfortunately. Worry not though. He hopefully will be back next week for In Your House 14. Until then, I have you covered as we take a look back at NXT UK from the month of November. However, before we get started, and you all know how this goes by now, smackheads, you can find me on Twitter at BruiserMate. That's M8. Don't type mate. Don't type mate into the search bar. And you can find Travis on Twitter at Huss Hogan. Go to unionsmack.bigcartel.com for all your Hibiki TMD merchandise needs. ProWrestlingTees.com/unionsmack for the latest edition of the Union Smack t-shirt. It's a great one, thanks to our good friend Sweet T Rocky B. And Lulu.com, where you can purchase a copy of The Undertaker, A Trip Down Death Valley, and NXT UK Year 1. Thank you again for everybody who's bought those. And don't forget the competition running until December the 31st. If you've bought a t-shirt or you're waiting for it to arrive, whatever the situation is, post a picture of yourself on Twitter, tag me, obviously post a picture of yourself in the shirt on Twitter, or some proof that you've ordered it, and you get a free copy of one of my books. Your choice which one you want, if you would like to do that. If not, you can always go to lulu.com and pay the full price. Don't forget the Union Smack shorts trailer. It has just dropped. That is coming in January. And of course, no questions this week, primarily because I am recording this literally on the day that In Your House 13 review comes out. A little spoiler there. So there's been no time to get the questions in from anybody yet. All questions received on the Union Smack 13 review and all questions received on this review will get answered next week, when hopefully Travis will be back with us and we record In Your House 14 as we head in towards Christmas. As we head towards Christmas, I must say, it's going to be all retro reviews until then. Union Smack, In Your House 14, In Your House 15, and I'm hoping we can slip in 16 as well before the turn of the new year. And I've got so much to haul. Of course, look out for the Union Smack Christmas messages from both myself and Travis. We didn't do them last year because the show was off air for quite a long period. But we're back, and we will be doing those like Christmas week, I think. I haven't even talked to Travis about it yet, but I assume there will be something from us both on Christmas week. And on with the show we go. So this week we are looking at the very best of NXT UK from November 2021, the month just gone, depending on when you listen to it. You could be listening to this in February, I think, in what you're talking about. But every month we'll be bringing you the best of NXT UK. We used to do the weekly episodes, but obviously with the In Your House train we're on at the minute, and we're desperate and determined to finish that for you. We started it last year, and then when we went off air, we couldn't do anything. But now we're back. NXT UK will be once a month. In Your House or other retro reviews will be weekly. And that's how it's going to be, I think, for the foreseeable future. It seems to work well. So, we are going to kick off NXT UK November with the November the 4th edition of the brand. And the first match out the gate, Rampage Brown versus Flash Morgan Webster. And before I go on, I've just remembered I forgot to mention that this won't be an episode by episode review. So we won't go through the whole of the November 4th, November, whatever 4 out 7 is. My mind's gone blank as I record this. 12, 11. We'll just cherry pick the very best bits for you so you can go to the network, go back, watch things we recommend for you. And if you're not a fan of the brand completely and don't want to sit through an hour's worth of material, then you can just watch the very best bits. So, Rampage Brown versus Flash Morgan Webster, November the 4th. This came about when Flash Morgan Webster attempted to slap Rampage Brown. I believe it was the week before this, in October. Now, Flash Morgan Webster had gone through a period of challenging bigger wrestlers. There was Shah Samuels, just by slapping them, just by walking up and slapping them. He did the same to Wolfgang, and inevitably he lost all the matches. But Rampage Brown came into NXT UK riding a wave of momentum. Everyone knew who he was from Progress, from his work in ICW across the Indies in the UK. However, I feel like he's been treading water since he got here, and this match against Flash Morgan Webster, plus what would come later on, really, in the episode in the following weeks, has really put him up on an echelon. Yes, he lost to Walter at NXT UK Prelude in October. Yeah, it was in October, I believe. So long ago, and he's done barely anything else since, except his triple series with Joe Coffey. As for this match, it was very, very good. I thoroughly recommend you watch this. Rampage Brown catches Webster in midair with a huge power slam, which looked fabulous. Webster sells it really well, and it's almost like every move is death, and that's how you should sell a Rampage Brown attack, because he looks like a big fuck-off bear. Webster counters the Doctor Bomb into a guillotine, hits a tilt-a-whirl facebuster onto his knee, and then there's that slither of belief that Flash Morgan Webster's efforts will pay off. He hits a lovely top rope Hurricane Rana, and then it sort of creeps into the match that he begins to outsmart Rampage Brown. Brown goes, full ahead with just vicious power attacks, and that opens the door for the Welshman, he is a Welshman, to sort of outsmart Brown. There is a botch on a suicide dive by Webster, and he begins to show heel tendencies where he should have been all along. More on that in a minute. He tries to get Rampage Brown counted out, which isn't like him at all. Shadows over Malice, and they go back in for a great near fall. Rampage Brown turns him inside out with the clothesline and wins with a Doctor Bomb. Now, I say Flash Morgan Webster and the heel tendencies thing. because if you listen to the October review, my belief is, and has been for about 2 years now, Flash Morgan Webster would be a great heel. He needs to turn on Mark Andrews. He needs to turn on Danny Luna. However, Danny Luna might not be a factor for a while. She's torn her ACL. She tore it in October on the second night of tapings against Stevie Turner, I believe. So she's going to be out almost for a year. I'm hearing she had surgery on it today as I record this on Tuesday the 7th of December. So we wish her well and a speedy recovery, because she's one of the highlights of the NXT UK women's division. But I think a Flash Morgan Webster, Mark Andrews blood feud, aching to what I hope we're going to get with Tyler Bate and Trent Seven in 2020. It would be great for Webster. He could put Andrews out of NXT UK and just move on to the title picture, because right now Webster in subculture is floundering badly. Now, we won't see Flash Morgan Webster in an NXT UK ring again until mid to late 2022. He posted on Twitter after the NXT UK episode aired that he is going away to have surgery on a torn labrum. He's getting that fixed, and he's had that for about 3 years now. Commentary blamed it on the match with Rampage Brown. Of course they did. But this has been an issue for him for 3 years, and so we won't see him in a ring for X amount of time. Again, 2 members of Subculture down. Mark Andrews left. We wish Flash Morgan Webster a speedy recovery, because I do like Flash Morgan Webster. I'm just not a fan of him in Subculture. Staying with the November the 4th episode, we get an interview with Tyler Bate, which Trent Seven interrupts and apologises for costing him the NXT UK Heritage Cup. If you didn't tune into the October review, then it was Tyler Bate versus Noam Dar for the NXT UK Heritage Cup. Pretty deadly. NXT UK Tag Team Champions came down. They tussled with Trent Seven on the arena floor. Trent Seven grabbed the towel that they were about to throw in to cost Tyler Bate the match. And as he pulled it away from them, he lost his grip, or so the story goes, and threw the towel into the ring by accident. The referee thought he was signalling for Tyler Bate to submit, rang the bell and awarded the Heritage Cup to Noam Dar. Great bit of storytelling, and just another notch in the story of their demise, which has to be coming, has to be. This is a very well done interview, because this is all about Trent Seven making it about himself again and his quest for NXT UK Gold. And he tells Tyler Bate that he's got them put in the Fatal 4-Way match with Symbiosis, Dave Mastiff, Jack Stars, and Oliver Carter and Ashton Smith the following week. The winner of that obviously gets an NXT UK Tag Team Championship shot. Now, Tyler Bate doesn't seem too happy about this, but he goes along with it. And right now, I couldn't tell you which member of Mustache Mountain, Bate or Seven, will turn. But one is going to turn, and something big is on its way for Mustache Mountain. I just cannot wait for this to happen. This is going to be tremendous. I'm trying to think of something to compare it to from WWF history. Owen turning on Brett, possibly, but I think this will be even bigger than that, and it will shake NXT UK to its foundations. Next up on the November the 4th, the November the 4th episode was almost a pretty perfect episode for me. Out of the ring, some of the stuff in the ring was questionable, but now we get Xia Brookside. What the fuck have NXT UK done with Xia Brookside? Now, I know at the beginning I said this would be the best of NXT UK. There are exceptions, obviously. Things we have to talk about. Things that they've done to wrestlers or characters that have just been absolutely horrendous. And Xia Brookside is one. Me and Travis talked last month about how they treated Xia Brookside and not done anything with her, and how this was really her last chance. Now, she's been on a losing streak. She even lost to Aaliyah James, for Christ's sake, enhancement talent. I do like Aaliyah James, but she's right at the bottom of the ladder. And then she said on Twitter, and I think a little bit on television as well, that she was going away and it was time for a new Xia Brookside. Now, I took her words to mean that she was going to disappear from television 3-4 months, possibly 6, not seen again until next year, come back with a new look, a new personality, a new character. But no, apparently. She came back, it couldn't have even been 3 weeks. I'm going to say 1 to 2 weeks after she disappeared. She's back with a new character, no change in the look, lazy booking. I'm sorry, I like Xia Brookside. I was a big advocate of her in 2019 when it looked like she was beginning to ascend the ladder at the Download Festival. They didn't pull the trigger on that. That was a mistake, and she lost all of the momentum she had. Now, she asks Sid Scala if she can face the winner of Meiko Satomura versus Ginny for the NXT UK Women's Championship. And that match, main event's November the 4th episode. More on that in a few seconds. Now, Sid Scala says no. And quite rightly. Why? Why should she? She's lost every match she's been in. I think this year, I'd have to go back and check that. But I'd say if she has won a match this year, it's been a match. And that's it. And then she begins to whine. She begins to whine that it's not fair. And then she gets on the phone to her father, who is, of course, British wrestling legend Robbie Brookside. Trains and teaches at the PC in Florida. And that's it. That's the first glimpse we get of this Xia Brookside character. And I couldn't be more put off if I tried. She's still a beautiful woman. But this is lazy booking. Like the epitome of lazy booking. Can't think of anything else to do with her. Can't think of a new look for her. Obviously haven't consulted her in this. And if they have, then she is just lacking in imagination as much as the writers on NXT UK. What do we do with her? Just make her a whiny, spoilt little bitch. Just terrible. And I don't want to see this Xia Brookside ever again. But we've got more coming of her in the episodes as this character, I say, begins to build, but that would be giving booking too much credit. Ilya Dragunov comes out to give what I found to be a saccharine speech. It was all about, how he was the champion and respect, etc., etc. And it's fine because, he makes up for it in between the ring. In between the ropes, I should say. In between the ring, you see? This is what happens when I just go off on a tangent. But I don't like Ilya Dragunov on the mic. Some of his stuff is fine, but the majority of it isn't great. And thank God he was interrupted by Rampage Brown. Now, Rampage Brown tells him that they have unfinished business, which they do, from that triple threat match with Nathan Frazier, which decided who went on to face Walter at the last NXT takeover. Dragunov accepts Rampage Brown's challenge, and then Brown suddenly turns heel, attacks Ilya Dragunov, and then stands over him, holding the NXT UK Championship over his head. And then Rampage Brown says to him quite clearly, he doesn't need his respect, he just needs his championship. Now, by the time you hear this, they will have fought. That is coming your way in January, as we look back on December's NXT UK. So do join us for that. The main event of the November 4th NXT UK episode was Ginny Meiko Satomura for the NXT UK Women's Championship, and this was a corker of a match. Ginny is one of Travis's favourites. He used to be Nina Samuels. He just likes the ladies a lot. That might actually explain why he's having computer problems. A couple of viruses there, Travis, eh? You say it's games. I believe it's hardcore porn. Anyway, Ginny, Meiko Satomura, NXT UK Women's Championship, and Amelia McKenzie at ringside. Fucking stunning. Now, Santa Claus, I know what I want for Christmas, and she was in the Champions Corner, if you're listening. Now, this match, admittedly, takes a while to get going, but it does draw you in around 3 minutes-ish. Ginny hits a lovely suplex out the head scissors exchange. Satomura with crippling kicks and a lovely crossface. A crossface, I think, that could rival Chris Benoit's, in all seriousness. You know, without any shots at what happened, etc. Still one of the greatest technical wrestlers in history, but a crossface that would rival Chris Benoit's. Ginny plays her part perfectly here. She works over the leg of Satomura so she can't hit a Scorpio Rising kick. And then Satomura hits back with an absolutely fantastic spinning heel kick. And just a handstand cartwheel knee to the back. What other 40-plus-year-old woman can do that? And do tell me, actually. Videos are accepted. Ginny hits a lovely near fall, actually, with her makeover X Factor from the second rope. And then there's a top moment of drama when she applies the single leg Boston Crab to the injured leg of the champion. And, you know, credit to the commentators who make us believe that the Japanese Marvel, the final boss, will tap out. Ginny misses the couture kick, and Meiko Satomura hits a frog splash for another near fall. It's machine gun rapid. It's move near fall, move near fall, move near fall. And you know, if this was just that, then I'd say boring. You know, because there'd be no drama. But this was full of drama. It was full of storytelling as well. So credit to both for that. Amelia McKenzie gets involved, hits Joseph Connors with an RKO on the apron. Ginny gets another near fall with a second couture kick. And then Meiko Satomura hits a Scorpio Rising, which is botched. Ginny moves far too soon and hits a Death Valley Driver for the victory. Like I say, great match. But, and before I say but, do check this out. You won't regret it. It put the NXT War Games match, the Women's War Games match, to shame. But, you know, Ginny, Amelia McKenzie, they both deserve more. So far, McKenzie is a statue in Meiko Satomura's corner. Ginny is a bit part player when she should be champion by rights. It's going to be a Priestley, slash Blair Davenport. But by rights, Ginny should have had a massive reign by now because her in-ring work has improved greatly. And her character, I don't see what else she can add to it. But what now for Ginny? That's the question. Now, rumours of Walter moving to NXT or the main roster are abound. Does she go with him? Does she chance it on NXT? I wouldn't, not right now. And while I'm on the subject, NXT, what have you done? I watched War Games for the first time, like the first full NXT UK show I've watched since the last takeover. Wow. Absolutely wow, and not in a great way. I know it's for some people. This isn't for me. This isn't my NXT. Sorry. I will watch it when Pete Dunne's on. I will watch for Imperium and Grizzled Young Veterans. But the rest of it can go and suck a dick, because if that is the future of NXT, then I feel like they're in trouble. And can I just say to the idiot on Twitter who's put this out to the world, he said he's a 30-year veteran viewer and the Women's War Games match was the best match he's ever seen on WWF/WWE television. Like, just leave. Just please leave. Get off of my timeline, you absolute imbecile. But yeah, Ginny, Walter, rumoured to the main roster, rumoured to NXT as well. I've heard them. Does she follow him? Does she stay where she is? Personally, I would stay where I am. I would convince him to stay where he is too, even though his options in NXT UK are limited. But right now, the future is uncertain for both of them. Now, we move on to November the 11th, NXT UK. And it opens with a cracking bout between Nathan Frazier and Mark Andrews. Now, this begins with a series based around a wrist lock and Nathan Frazier's creative ways of escaping. And Frazier is a star, absolute star. His flips, which he mixes into actual wrestling, are great. They're not Will Ospreay-esque, they're not Kenny Omega-esque. They are a perfect part of his storytelling, if you get what I mean. Watch his matches and you'll see what I mean. Mark Andrews follows a Nathan Frazier flip out of the corner with a buckle drop kick, crisp, and then a lovely Northern Lights and standing iron octopus. Now, this standing iron octopus isn't done enough. Ginny does it in her repertoire, but I'd like to see it done more. Maybe used as a finisher even, because it looks brilliant. Frazier hits a lovely corkscrew brainbuster and a standing moonsault, and then Mark Andrews counters an assisted leg backflip into a facebuster. And if the BT Sports Studio could hold a full crowd of 1,000 or 2,000, that would have got a standing ovation. It did, however, get a near fall. Nathan Frazier lawn dart nearly takes Mark Andrews' head off, and then Mark Andrews hits a moonsault off of the steps onto the outside. Now, he goes for a springboard, which Nathan Frazier counters with a Spanish fly from the top rope. Move of the year for me. Mark Andrews gets it, and as soon as he hits the top rope, like his feet literally only just touch before Frazier is in front of him from a leaping position and hits him with a Spanish fly. Credit to both men for that. Well timed, excellent move. And then Andrews does something which he's got to stop doing. He's done this since the tournament, since the first WWE United Kingdom Championship tournament back in January 17. He hits his stun dog out of a suplex attempt. And this is predictable now. Every time someone goes for a suplex against Mark Andrews, you know where it's going. Stun dog. And I hate to say this at this point, but Mark Andrews means nothing to this brand anymore. He's an enhancement talent, and you're giving him matches like this, which is fine. Matches like this are fine if you're going to put over a younger star. But he didn't. And the end to this match just made me sigh. Very few endings to NXT UK matches make me sigh. This one did. He missed fall to pieces from the top rope. Nathan Frazier rolled him into a La Magistral cradle, but Mark Andrews puts his weight on Frazier's shoulders and pinned him for the win. Frazier needs to be winning these matches if he's going anywhere in NXT UK. If he's not, fine, he's the Ligero, minus the sex allegations and the rape. But Nathan Frazier needs big wins. Losing against men like Mark Andrew isn't great. And there was no rematch. There was no rematch for Frazier to get the win back. And Mark Andrews just goes merrily on his way to nothing. To a feud with Jordan Devlin, which he would lose. What was the point of sacrificing Nathan Frazier for that? I love NXT UK. I will praise it and hype it until I'm blue in the face, but I will also call out the bullshit on it, and this was bullshit. Great match, bullshit result. Now, Kenny Williams is backstage in the PC. We're told it's earlier that week. Comes across Saxon Huxley emptying bins, and this is all to set up a match for Saxon Huxley, but I included this because we didn't talk about Kenny Williams in our October review, and I wish we had have done. Because Kenny Williams, since the restart of NXT UK, has been absolutely fantastic. And I mean that, wholeheartedly. He has been brilliant. Sometimes not in the ring, but on the mic and character-wise, calls himself, the scum of the earth now. Absolutely top-notch. He turned on Amir Jordan earlier this year Might have been the end of last. But it wasn't a fast turn. It was a slow turn. He came out as injured, couldn't compete, stood in Amir Jordan's corner, and then week by week tried to get him bigger and nastier opponents that he thought Amir Jordan couldn't beat. And you could slowly see the heel turn coming. And then when he came back, he would cheat to get them victories. They failed to capture the NXT UK Tag Team Championships, and he turned on Amir Jordan. That led to 2 singles matches, the last being a loser leaves NXT UK match, which Amir Jordan lost. We haven't seen him since. However, since then, Kenny Williams has done absolutely nothing in NXT UK. They've not got a story for him. They've got nowhere else for his character to go. And it's a shame, because if you put the machine behind Kenny Williams, then he would be an absolute killer main event heel. I absolutely believe that. The main event of the November 11th episode, Mustache Mountain, Dave Mastiff and Jack Stars, Carter and Smith, Symbiosis, Travis's favourite tag team in all of NXT UK, Symbiosis. Now this was a fatal 4-way match for the NXT UK Tag Team Championship shot against Pretty Deadly. And it was hectic. Okay, I've seen better fatal 4-way matches, I'm not going to lie. But it was very good. Because, not for symbiosis, or endometriosis, as Travis calls them, but simply for the storytelling by Moustache Mountain. I believe fully Ashton Carter and... No, sorry. Oliver Carter and Ashton Smith were the stars of this match. They were fantastic. And I'll just pick out a few highlights for you here because, you know, this match went long and teams were in, teams were out. There were moves and bodies flying every fucking where so you couldn't keep up. There is, however, a very interesting moment before this match. The camera is cycling through all 4 teams getting ready. It ends up on Mustache Mountain. And Tyler Bate only hugs Trent Seven after he clocks the camera watching him. Before that, he's like, yeah, shadow boxing his hands. And he's, yeah, I'm ready for this, I'm ready. And then the camera, he suddenly turns around, the camera's there, and he's all, oh, huggy, huggy, pally, pally. I think that's very telling. And it could be bait. It could be bait that turns. I would love to see that. Anyway, back to the match. And Nigel McGuinness points out that Tyler Bate threw in the towel to save Trent Seven's leg and cost them the NXT Tag Team Championships in 2018. That is true. I'm not going to go through the history now, but obviously Mustache Mountain won the NXT Tag Team Championships from Undisputed Era at the Royal Albert Hall in the second UK tournament, night 2. And then they lost it back to them when Tyler Bate threw the towel in to save Trent Seven's injured leg. So there's a bit of, bit of stir in the pot there by Nigel Guinness, which is more than welcome. Now, Jack Star's really grown. He's worked with Trent Seven here. Say, I'm losing the plot. I'm losing the fucking plot the closer we get to Christmas. It's very good. Trent Seven, Jack Stars, very good. Seven lets him have the offense. You can see how good Stars really is. He's much better than enhancement talent, but I really don't want to see him and Dave Mastiff dethrone Pretty Deadly. Ashton Smith slingshots Oliver Carter in for a lovely clothesline. Symbiosis versus Mastiff and Stars isn't very interesting. That's the main low point of the match because fans don't care about either team. They've tried their best to build Mastiff and Stars, and plaudits to them for trying a new team, but I don't think it's working. They're obviously the Drake Maverick, Killian Dane, Daniel Bryan Kane partnership, and it's going to end, I think, with Dave Mastiff turning on Jack Stars because Dave Mastiff does need something, and he needs something quick as well. There's a lot of wrestlers on NXT UK that need something quick. Eddie Dennis gets ejected from ringside after tripping Jack Stars. That causes Tyson T-Bone to wipe out all the teams on the apron. And then Tyler Bate brings out the best of Jack Stars and saves this match, dropping into being boring. I think that's the best word, boring. Because at this point, it is very, tag, move. There's not much to it at this point. Carter and Smith, lovely teamwork. They could be something, again, if the machine was put behind them. Just like so much talent in this on this brand. T-Bone pushes Trent Seven from the top rope onto a waiting crowd outside. And then Tyler Bate, double aeroplane swing with T-Bone on his shoulders. Jack Stars hooked by the feet. And then Jack Stars with a lovely powerbomb on Trent Seven. The end comes when Trent Seven hits a 7 Stars lariat on Primate. Which Primate kicks out of? What happened to the 7 Stars lariat being, a devastating finishing move? Ever since he used that as his signature instead of his finisher and used the Burning Hammer as his finisher, people have been kicking out of that left, right and centre. But Mustache Mountain win with the Burning Hammer flying knee combo, and that needs a name badly. Now, this goes two ways. We're getting Pretty Deadly versus Mustache Mountain for the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. It probably will have already happened by the time you hear this episode. Will be reviewed in our December's Best of NXT UK, which coming your way at the beginning of January. Probably the first thing you hear of the new year. But this either goes down, they beat Pretty Deadly, have a short reign and implode when it goes to Trent Seven's head, or they fail and either Tyler Bate or Trent Seven turn. I can't tell you which one right now. Even I'm not sure which one of them is going to turn, but it's going to be fascinating to watch. I can't wait to see it happen. And plausibly, either man could be the heel in this blood feud, which NXT UK must pull the trigger on. You can't let this go anymore. Tyler Bate has outgrown NXT UK. Trent Seven arguably needs to be the man to dethrone Ilya Dragunov, either as a face or a heel. And Trent Seven has to win this feud and send Tyler Bate on his way up to NXT, because NXT wants brand new stars. It's got the Bron Breakers and the Tony D'Angelos, oh dear, and the Grayson Waller. What the fuck is a Grayson Waller? Anyone? But I think Tyler Bate, along with Pete Dunne, of course, Pete Dunne up there, could add something that brand doesn't have yet. Now we move on to November the 18th, and we're more than halfway through this review, ladies and gentlemen. I can hear you all breathing a sigh of relief. We kick off with Sam Gradwell versus A-Kid. Now, this came from Sam Gradwell slagging off A-Kid's country and A-Kid's work after watching him on a phone. Just footage of him on a phone. Now, I'm loving where Sam Gradwell is now. What he's been doing is fabulous. His work in the ring and on the mic has been top-notch. I know it's not been for everyone. I know people are put off by the Sam Gradwell character, the things he says, etc. But if you come from Britain, if you come from Manchester, then, he's an entertaining guy. And I didn't like him at the beginning. I thought he was boring. I think it was generic. But this Thunderstorm character that he's going through, keep it, push it. And I think we're looking at the next Heritage Cup champion. Now, even in the early stages of this match, Sam Gradwell looks like a believable heel. He rakes the knee brace across A-Kid's forehead to break a front face lock. He always seems to have A-Kid's number. And then he hit a lovely Boston Crab, in which he flips A-Kid under his legs, just like he's throwing a bag of sugar. The commentary tried to pass it off. I think I said there's A-Kid trying to turn it into a pin, but not getting it. But Sam Gradwell, top notch here. A-Kid hits a suicide dive after making the comeback. Some lovely back and forth to this, and you do believe it could go either way, even though in the back of your mind you know A-Kid's going to win. The Spaniard counters a clothesline into an omoplata, but Gradwell breaks out with a backwards slam. and then dives off the apron. A-Kid moves, applies the sleeper onto his back, which he then transitions into a guillotine, and Sam Gradwell counters with a belly-to-belly on the outside. That was top-notch work by both men. Some beautiful near falls, and then A-Kid eventually wins this with the armbar. The only criticism I have is that the end was too quick. A-Kid puts it on, and as soon as he's got it in, Sam Gradwell taps. Now, I'd have almost liked a bit more fight from Gradwell. Not the cowardly, yes, I quit before you do me any damage. You know, no, actually, I am going to fight. Because what's coming up in the next episode for Sam Gradwell is... It's hard to explain. Yeah, but it's the stuff heroes are made of. It's the stuff that can turn a heel into a babyface if booked right. I don't believe Sam Gradwell was booked right in this match. I think he should have fought more at the end. But, you know, credit to both men. Very, very good match. Do check that out. Sticking with November the 18th, we get a promo by Ilya Dragunov on Rampage Brown. Among other things, he says that history isn't written about the Giants, but the people that make them fall. Top-notch line. I absolutely loved that. You can see that on a poster somewhere. You know, an inspiration poster. Now, we're told that match will happen in 2 weeks. The first NXT UK of December, in actual fact. However, for me, it's too soon. This is a takeover main event. And we're approaching New Year now with no mention of any takeover for January. We didn't get one last year. No, I lie. We got one in 2020 just before the pandemic. That was the last takeover, UK takeover we got. The Dublin one cancelled, obviously, because of COVID and the pandemic and, you know, travel bans all over the world. But we're due an NXT UK takeover. I would love to go back to Blackpool, but just nothing yet. Maybe there were some tapings in November for December and the beginning of January. Maybe there's something on them. I couldn't find any spoilers online to tell you. Ticketmaster has nothing. I know a few people who would, but I don't talk to them anymore or work with them anymore. So I guess we're just going to have to wait and be surprised together. More Xia Brookside as she comes into the PC and is quickly caught by a female referee who tells her she has 15 minutes late for training. Brookside responds by saying that she doesn't have to train with them and has her own one-on-one classes. Then the producer just takes it like she's at fucking school trying to get out of PE or sport or football or something. She gives her a note from her father to say that she doesn't have to train with others. And again, it's character development to a certain extent, but this isn't thrilling me. Not so far. And it's not going to save a career, unfortunately. And I don't know what you guys thought of me and Travis saying this was her final chance, or 23, 24 years old. But it really is. If she's content to be an enhancement talent for the rest of her time in WWE, then carry on. Because this is what this is. This is enhancement talent stuff after the character's failed. Nothing more, nothing less. She needs to put more oomph into this. And we've got another Xia Brookside bit coming when we get to the last episode of November, which is it's just diabolical. But she needs to do something soon. Change your look. Do something better in the ring. Just anything. I'm begging you, please. I don't want to see your career fail, Xia. But it's going that way at the minute. The last thing to note from the November the 18th episode of NXT UK, and I'm not going to go through the whole match because I didn't enjoy the match at all. It was Gallus versus Tioman and Rohan Raja. The outcome of the match was the most notable thing about it, and that was Charlie Dempsey, who we praised in this review last month. Charlie Dempsey joins Tioman and Rohan Raja as part of this family, in inverted commas. I mean, why? The match, as I said, just plain. A plain main event. Disappointing, if anything. But this isn't going to do anything for Charlie Dempsey. And this is where part of me wishes Travis was here, because I'd like to discuss it with him. And I will bring it up with him next month. I'm sure we'll see more of these three, in the intervening time. But Charlie Dempsey, an actual gifted technical professional wrestler, who you could put the NXT UK Championship on Charlie Dempsey, and you instant main eventer, and you lumber him with Tiaman and Rohan Raja, maybe the two most boring men on the NXT UK roster today. Rohan Raja in the ring, fine. Tiaman in the ring, dull as horseshit. And Tiaman's got his fans out there, and I apologise, each to his own, but I just can't see how any of this is going to do Charlie Dempsey any good at all. It's only going to hold him back, in my opinion. And you might think I'm wrong, but there we go. Finally, November the 25th, NXT UK begins with Jordan Devlin versus Mark Andrews. Now, this came about after Jordan Devlin confronted Mark Andrews following the victory over Nathan Frazier. He told him he was being too nice. He needed to carry himself like an ace. And Mark Andrews took exception to that. But, Jordan Devlin's right. Mark Andrews has done absolutely nothing really of note on the brand. The biggest thing he's done is the feud with the Hunt / Symbiosis. When it was Subculture versus the Hunt, it was a good feud. Apart from that, just fuck all in 3 years. 4 years! It's been since 2017. So it's really getting to a point with Mark Andrews now where it's shit or get off the pot. Match-wise, Mark Andrews was preoccupied with the disappearance of Dani Luna, who has, as I said at the top of this show, tore her ACL, will be out for up to a year. Match begins with a nice opening barrage by Andrews. Devlin gets back in control by feeding his legs through the ropes and tripping Mark Andrews from behind. Looked very good. Simple but good. And this feels like a new Jordan Devlin now. He's got a new haircut, a new attitude, and I hope this carries him to the top, because he's not going to get many more chances to go there. Either Trent Seven or Jordan Devlin to dethrone Ilya Dragunov for me. I don't see anyone else, doing it. But if you're keeping Dragunov as a babyface, then it has to be Jordan Devlin, unless it's Trent Seven that turns. Great tornado DDT by Andrews from the corner, and it's all go for the most part. It draws you in. There's a lovely springboard cutter from Devlin, and the sequence that leads to it is sumptuous. There's reversal. He charges Andrews in the corner. Andrews backdrops him out of the ring. He maintains the grip, and as he's going over the top, Jordan Devlin, he manages to pull back on the top rope and just throw himself back into the ring and hits the cutter. Watch it. It's beautiful. There's an absolute killer poison rana from Mark Andrews from the top rope. If that had gone wrong, Jordan Devlin would have been a dead man. The Irishman counters fall to pieces with the knees for the near fall. Andrews hits a moonsault to the outside. Devlin slams him against the barricade. Andrews beats the count, but as he gets back in, Jordan Devlin hits him with the Devlin side for the victory. Now, I have a pet peeve match. I'd give this B-. Very, very good match. I have a pet peeve with Andy Shepherd. And Andy, you're probably not listening to this. Why would you be? You're commentating, great. You're ring announcing, excellent. But please, stop calling Jordan Devlin's finisher the Devlin Inside. It's not. It's called the Devil Inside. As in, the devil inside you. The devil inside. Partly because his name's Devlin. He hits the move on the side, the devil inside. But please stop calling it the Devlin Inside. It sounds ludicrous. It's never been called that as far as I'm aware, to my absolute certain knowledge. So please stop. and Nigel McGuinness needs to correct him, or at least somebody in production needs to correct him. We see Johnny Saint for the first time in well over a year and a half. He's involved in a backstage segment where Sid Scala makes Noam Dar versus Sam Gradwell a Heritage Cup Championship match. Now, we did see Johnny Saint, I think it was last year. It might have been at the very, very beginning of this year. But I'm going to say, like, last year, in a video package from home. But he's not been live in person, in the BT Sports studios on, actual television since before the COVID outbreak in March 2020. It was nice to see him back. People have been commenting, where is he? Where is he? Well, obviously he didn't make the tapings because of the COVID outbreak. He didn't want to catch anything at his advanced age. And if you can hear rustling in the background, that is my guinea pig. Every time I do this, he decides to run around his cage. But great to see Johnny Saint back. And I hope we now can finally get that long-awaited Sid Scala heel turn, where he tries to muscle himself into Johnny Saint's general manager role. There goes the guinea pig again. Right, one more Xia Brookside piece of garbage. And this time she goes back to see Sid Scala and whines about not getting a title match after her dad spoke to him earlier in the week. And the line she comes out with, she is stood looking at a wall of NXT UK champions. Mostly, women's champions. You've got Ripley, Storm, Kaylee Ray. You've got, A-Kid, Bate, etc. on there as well, Pete Dunne. The line she comes out with, this would belong in a nursery. Sid Scala doesn't want me on the wall with the nice, shiny champions. And if you need to know anything more about this Xia Brookside character, it's all in that sentence. What the actual fuck? Like, please. He gives her the match. She throws a tantrum because there's not enough time. It's the week after this. And this is go away heat. Her voice is fucking atrocious. It's whiny, it's nasal, it goes right through. It's the voice that gives you a headache. If she was to pull this out in the bedroom, you would lose your erection like that. If you didn't hear that, I click my fingers. Just terrible. Honestly, I can't say enough bad things about this character. I don't know if Travis agrees with me. We'll see next month, but Jesus Christ, get her off of television and repackage her as quickly as humanly possible. Now, as I grow hoarse, we are nearly done with this. But a little pointer now. It's not good. It's not great. It is a plot point that we will need for the future. Ginny comes out to face Angel Hayes. Announces that she's taken out Danny Luna. I assume that'll be Ginny's storyline down the line. When Danny Luna comes back, she'll blame her for the attack, the ACL tear, and on it goes. But Ginny announces that her partnership with Joseph Connors is over. Just like that, as Tommy Cooper would say. Just like that. Ah. Now, there was more to this. There was more life in it. That they should have kept them together for the foreseeable future. I think this is a mistake. It doesn't help Ginny. It's definitely not going to help Joseph Connors, who has to now be at the top of the brand's cut list when the next round of cuts come, possibly in January. I just don't see why this partnership ended. They were doing well together. The story was good. I enjoyed Joseph Connors in this role, and now it's all for naught. And the main event of NXT UK from November the 25th, and the last thing on our agenda this month, Noam Dar, Sam Gradwell, NXT UK Heritage Cup Championship. And this came about after a backstage confrontation where Noam Dar and Shah Samuels disrupted Sam Gradwell after his previous match, and then disrupted him in his hotel room with a party. Yes, really. Now, Sam Gradwell shows some dominance in this. Obviously, Heritage Cup rules, fought in 3-minute rounds. Round 1, Gradwell showed some great dominance, continued his growth that we saw previously, and shockingly, he gets the first fall. He pins Noam Dar, he knocks him out on his knee brace, and then pins him with a DVD slam. I don't know what to call it. I don't think he's given it a name yet. He might have done. It might have passed me by. But it's the one where gets him up for the Death Valley driver on his shoulders, and then he swings him round the front and plants him on his back while he sits down. That one, you will know what I mean. Noam Dar is back in it in the second round, and he levels the score almost in no time with the Nova Roller. And you can tell this is going to be a quick one. This is not going to be one of the long, drawn-out Heritage Cup matches. In round 3, Noam Dar takes off Sam Gradwell's knee brace. He applies the champagne super knee bar, but time runs out before he can quit. And in round 4, there's more leg work by Dar. Shah Samuels gets involved. I love Shah Samuels. He attacks the leg of Sam Gradwell behind the referee's back. Sam Gradwell does get a trip slam for the near fall, but Noam Dar wins by submission with the champagne super knee bar. And there's 7 seconds of the round left, but Sam Gradwell can't hang on. He has to tap out. It's a when you say Noam Dar versus Sam Gradwell, you know, some people might roll their eyes and think, Jesus Christ, is that what they've got now? But like I said earlier, Sam Gradwell is coming into his own. Noam Dar is very good. I love the partnership and the dynamic between him and Shah Samuels. So they're going places. He's going to be Heritage Cup champion for a very long time. I would say well into next Christmas. I think he's going to go babyface as well. Fans are really, adhering to him. But Sam Gradwell lost nothing in defeat. It was a very good match. It's not long at all. I think 10 minutes. And they get a lot in that 10 minutes as well. So I recommend this highly. Do go back and watch this. And that brings us to the end of our NXT UK review for November. I've given you all the best bits, my opinions, my thoughts. It'll be interesting to see what Travis thinks when he gets back next month. He will be back sooner, but obviously the NXT UK December review at the beginning of January, New Year. And thank you for joining me again. As you can tell, the flu is going. The voice isn't great. I've talked for nearly an hour. I am going hoarse. I am going to end it here. I have work tomorrow. It won't be great if I can't talk to people there. So thank you all so much for joining me for a second week, for sitting through this. I know some people don't watch NXT UK, but if I can convert you to watch just one show or one match, then my job here is done. Before I go, do check me out on Twitter at Bruisermate, that is M8. You can find Travis on Twitter at Huss Hogan. Unionsmack.bigcartel.com for all your Hibiki TMD merchandise needs. ProWrestlingTees.com/Unionsmack. Get yourself the brand new Union Smack logo t-shirt. And Lulu.com, where you can buy a copy of my books, The Undertaker, A Trip Down Death Valley, and NXT UK Year 1. Don't forget the offer that is on offer. The offer that is on offer, that's a great ending, isn't it? The offer that is going at the moment until December the 31st. Buy a shirt, post yourself in it or proof that you've bought it on Twitter, and I will send you a free book of your choice. So, don't forget, Union Smack Shorts is coming in January. I have notes, I have thumbnails. I am going to record the first few weeks worth probably in the lead up to Christmas, probably in the few days after, but there will definitely be something, hopefully, in the first week of January. And once again, thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to go back and check out all the past reviews you never have before. Check out Travis's channel for all your best retro gaming needs. Anything you need, it's on his channel. And once again, I love you all. Absolutely adore each and every single one of you. You've made this show an even bigger success since we've come back, and for that we owe you everything. From myself, from my noisy guinea pig, from Travis, cheerio.